Hello, my name is Frank Peters, and I have the pleasure today to speak to Dr. Julie Vose, who is the author of one of the essays in the book The Big Casino called The Power of Laughter. Welcome, Dr. Vose.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here today.
I would like to speak to you about Cindy. Cindy is one of the patients that you describe in the essay. Can you tell us a bit about her?
Yes. Cindy was a very young patient, perhaps a little bit unusual for some of the patients that we see in oncology. She was 33 years old when I met her. She had just had a baby just a few months before I met her, so she was a new mother with another child before that. And she came to us quite ill with high fevers, 30-pound weight loss, severe rash all over her body, pain in her abdomen with an enlarged liver and spleen. And they had a difficult time in diagnosing her. So she came to us to try to get diagnosis and to get appropriate treatment for her illness. So she was quite ill when I met her.
What I understand from the essay is that you were to outline a treatment plan, but also sort of convey the gravity of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And you tell a a very remarkable story actually on how that went. Can you tell us how that evolved?
So it's always difficult when you first meet a patient with such a serious illness that you want to outline the treatment, you want to be hopeful, but yet you want to be realistic with the patient and their family, and that this isn't 100% of the time we're going to be able to cure you. And in fact, in this situation, it was probably maybe 10% of the time that we're able to cure this type of patient with this type of lymphoma. So as I started to talk about the situation, the lymphoma, outline the treatment and what she was about to go through, the patient and her family had a little bit different affect than I would normally have thought about in this situation. You normally think of it being as a very serious situation, and most patients and families are usually quite sad and ask a lot of questions. But in this case, they kept making light of her symptoms and kept laughing about things, and it just was an unusual reaction. And so I was a bit taken aback when that first happened. So.
Yeah, what did you do? How did you try to deal with that?
So I sort of took a step backwards and reassessed the situation and said, well, maybe I just didn't explain it correctly, that they didn't understand, the situation. And so I tried to explain it again in a different way, but still the same reaction, just taking everything very lightly, a lot of laughter, and trying to make sure they were positive about the situation. So as I started to work with her and her family more, I understood how they started coping with the situation through laughter and through making fun of things and these techniques. I sort of began to appreciate that maybe is a good way to try to look at things for certain patients or certain family members, and that was just her way and their way of coping with the situation and trying to make sure that they were always looking on the positive side of things. So.
How is Cindy doing nowadays? How did her case evolve?
Yes, so she went through initial treatment with chemotherapy, which worked temporarily, but unfortunately her lymphoma came back as she finished her therapy. She then had to undergo a stem cell transplant with her sister as the donor, and this was now over 15 years ago. She's doing well. No lymphoma has come back. She's had no other medical problems. She was able to go on and enjoy her family and her life, and thankfully is cured of her lymphoma, so she was one of the lucky ones.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, it's always very satisfying for us to see those patients. They come back to clinic with their families over the years, and we see their children grow up, and we see their families, and see the children graduate from high school and college and go on to be successful, and then they have grandchildren, and it's very gratifying for us.
Yeah, I guess that is what drives you and inspires you as well.
Absolutely, to have those types of success stories. Unfortunately, it's not every patient or every family, but we are able to nowadays have many more patients that get through treatment successfully and can go on to a normal life.
That is great, and I think that is a great ending of this interview. I want to thank you very much for sharing your insights with us and how patients have helped you in developing into what you are today. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.